So, Rosie, firstly, congratulations on your success at representing the UK at WorldSkills. Thousands applied. That's a fantastic achievement. Could you maybe explain a little bit about your journey?
So my skill was aircraft maintenance. I first got involved all the way back in 2021. It was my technical training officer, so obviously the role I'm in now, who introduced me to WorldSkills UK and Inspiring Skills. I went for it and I went back through national qualifiers, back to nationals, and actually came away with a gold medal that year, which was fantastic. And from there, obviously, just got better and better.
Welcome to the 5th episode of the Learning Collab, where we collaborate with industry experts and experienced practitioners to bring you hints, tips and advice from the world of post-16 education to help improve your learners' experiences and outcomes. I'm Ros Protheroe, Director of Panda Education and Training, and today we're exploring the world of skills competitions. We'll be finding out what skills competitions are and how they can benefit learners and how you can encourage your learners to take part.
So I'm Rachel Arnold. I'm also a Director of Panda, and we're really pleased to welcome today's guests, Paul Evans, Project Director of the Inspiring Skills Excellence in Wales project, and Rosie Boddy, former apprentice of Airbus and competitor for Team UK at WorldSkills in Lyon, who is now a technical training officer at Coleg Cambria. Welcome both.
Hi both.
Welcome. So Paul, to start with, many of our listeners may not have heard of skills competitions before. Could you give us a brief overview of what they are, what they're all about?
I'll start at the beginning. Many people ask me in the pub on a Saturday night, what's your job and what you do? And the best way to describe it is every 4 years we tune into the Olympics. What people don't realise, one of the best kept secrets, biannually you get European and Worlds for skills. And it is truly the Skill Olympics. 89 member countries, 2/3 of the world connecting to strive for excellence, not just competency. And it's a true platform really. But to get to that point, obviously, you never go from a short exercise at home to competing at the Olympics. There's different levels you go through. So you do get the UK finals held annually. And more importantly, in Wales, we deliver what we call Skills Competition Wales as well. Like the old outside our factory, when we used to be good in rugby, we prepare our competitors younger. And more importantly, it gives tutors an opportunity as well. And assessors, work-based learning assessors, really, to strive for excellence. And it is the most rewarding thing I've ever been involved in. And we've got competitions in construction and infrastructure, business, digital and creative, engineering and technology, health, hospitality and lifestyle. So that gives you an overview. Approximately 60 competitions internationally. Unfortunately, the UK don't compete in every one, but we do compete internationally as a part of Team UK. There's about 30 competitions the UK select. There is an age requirement, obviously, and you need to reach a standard. So not everybody's going to go. And just to give you a start, you could be competing in a competition and could be 300 people starting that journey, and they're looking for one individual to be sitting on that plane every 2 years to represent the UK. So it's absolutely phenomenal. And it's great to see Rosie with us today. Rosie's been through that journey. And hopefully she shares some of her experiences with us.
And what about, Inspiring Skills Excellence in Wales project, what sort of responsibility does that have within competitions?
But some 10 years ago, Welsh Government realised the benefits of competing. And I got to thank Welsh Government for the foresight, really, in investing in us as a project. We started off with a clear goal. 2013 was a dark place. WorldSkills Leipzig, there was nobody from Wales competing as a part of the Team UK. So the first thing we had to do was address that. We've gone on to build on the foundations. Continuous funding from Welsh Government has enabled us to build a network of dedicated employers, assessors, lecturers from FE, independent training providers and HE. We recently came back from the UK national final in Manchester, and over 70 medals came back to Wales. So it's a true testimony of the standard of education in Wales. And we do promote a Team Wales ethos, that we're all in this together. We all celebrate together. It's just unfortunate not all of the UK has got the same mindset. And we do lead the way. We are the top performing region in the UK. And I'm truly proud of what we have achieved so far. But this is only the beginning.
And what about Skills Competition Wales, Paul? What's that about?
Annually, we deliver approximately 60 competitions from hairdressing, beauty, carpentry, electrical, welding, publication, cooking. There's a full portfolio. We also deliver competition with learners with additional learning needs. We're quite proud in Wales. We started that some 9-10 years ago when we first started, and the value of that is truly incredible to see the employability skills young people can get to compete in. It's not all about winning. I'll always strive for gold, silver and bronze. Taking part can give the learners so much more. It can fast track their careers into what they call, we deliver the competitions in the same sectors as the UK do and internationally, but we also deliver competitions of importance to our economy in Wales. We're quite passionate with the land of song, so we deliver popular music, we deliver enterprise, and we deliver quite a unique portfolio. And in the inclusive foundation sector, we deliver a competition for life skills for young people in residential education to develop independent living skills. So we've designed the competition unique around that. Those competitions, registrations open in November, and competitions take place normally the last week of January, first 2 weeks of February this year. That's our competition window. So we've got a 3-week window, and that aligns nicely to the UK portfolio then. So hopefully by taking part, we'll then get the buzz. And I will say, seeing the tutors and assessors walking back and forth outside, it's like being in a maternity ward when the competitors are in there competing the other side of the barrier. So it's totally infectious really to see it. And it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever got involved with. And I'd recommend anybody to try it from an employer or from as a young apprentice. There's nothing stopping you entering yourself into a competition to stretch and challenge yourself. Competency is one thing, excellence is another mark to go for. And excellence is something that can be achieved by everybody.
So, Paul, what does sort of a typical skills competition Wales look like?
Well, I'll go back to my background. My background is carpentry. What we tend to do, we design the competitions around curriculum where possible around an apprenticeship framework. There are occasions we've got to push those boundaries because we are stretching the more able and talented. So we've got to push to be able to get a fair result at the end of it. So, for example, in carpentry, we got an element of core work, forming the basic joints, roof work, etc. And the only way, the tolerances we work to, every 1 millimetre out in losing a mark. So they all start that journey with 100%. So every slight inaccuracy, there's one mark on, there's another mark on. And the winner is the one that loses the least. It's not a case you strive for 100, and that's the mindset you've got to come into. Unfortunately, some of the tolerances you work within an apprenticeship aren't to 1 mil. But those are the tolerances we've got to go to identify the best of the best. Because a number of our colleges and workplaces, hopefully they go through pre-competitions. We've got to a stage now where we maximise the number of learners we can come in. So, for example, with the carpentry I've just mentioned, each partner is limited to 2 entries. They'd love to put 3-4 in. So that means they go through a pre-competition at their place of work or at the place of study to identify the best to go forward and represent. And that creates an in-house competition as well. So although we get 1,500 registrants for a skills competition in Wales, it's much, much greater than that, the pre-stage, where they're selecting their competitors come forward. So being chosen to represent your college, place of work, your workplace learning provider is actually an achievement. You've been chosen to get there. And it's a case of going through it because it does stretch and challenge time management, the mental toughness, the resilience of a young person to take part under those pressures. And it's truly unique and it's worth seeing.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Paul. So, Rosie, over to you now. So, firstly, congratulations on your success at representing the UK at WorldSkills. It's what an amazing achievement to achieve that one person, like Paul was saying, about out of those thousands who've applied. So, that's a fantastic achievement. Could you maybe explain a little bit about your journey, how you got involved in the competition, or what competition it was, and talk us a bit through that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So my skill was aircraft maintenance. I first got involved all the way back in 2021, and I was an apprentice at the time for Airbus, but also a student, obviously as part of my apprenticeship at College Cambria. And it was my technical training officer, so obviously the role I'm in now, who introduced me to WorldSkills UK and Inspiring Skills. And they said, we think your hand skills are really good. We think you should go for it. And I knew very little about it at the time. I'd heard of it, but didn't really know the ins and outs of it. So in June, I competed regionally or in the national qualifiers, as they call it now. Got through to that, competed in nationals in the November of 2021, and then realised how almost out of depth. I felt it was such a big jump from what I was expecting to what it actually was. And I think the biggest challenge as well, and a challenge that I found all the way through the cycle, which I'll get onto, is that the skill is aircraft maintenance. And my job and my training at the time, as much as it sounds very similar, was actually aircraft manufacturing. And there was a massive difference in a lot of the skill sets. So I was good in certain areas, but there were a lot of areas that needed a lot of development or that I didn't really know at all. So I didn't medal that nationals year, but it came to the following year, and it was actually, so Jimmy, who was my training manager all through Squad UK and Team UK, he was a judge at nationals, and my curriculum director at college that said, we think you should do it again. And in my head, I'm thinking that was a lot the first time, but I went for it and I did it, sort of knowing a bit more what to expect. So went back to national qualifiers, back to nationals, and actually came away with a gold medal that year, which was fantastic. And from there, obviously, just got better and better. So I got selected into what's called Squad UK, which is part of WorldSkills UK, where it's normally between 2 and 5 people to start with. You go to an event called Back to Basics, where they literally take all your skills right back to the basics, essentially, to see what you can do. They're not looking for you to be perfect. They're looking for that development, I suppose, or the potential to develop. And I got through that and then went through Squad UK with 2 other people, which then whittled down to 1 other person. So that process was just over a year. And then in May 2024, I actually got selected for Team UK and then underwent 6 months of intensive training to then go to Lyon in September.
What do you think are the main benefits that you've had personally for like your own personal growth for taking part?
I think a lot of people are very quick to focus obviously on the skill side of development, and there obviously was that. As I said, I learned pretty much everything I know about aircraft maintenance from WorldSkills UK, and to compete in the top of your category and like the top in the young people in the world, when I didn't really know an awful lot about it to start with, and I was just using my manufacturing knowledge and experience from the start. I think that really says a lot about the program and the development that comes with it. But skills aside, I always say it to people, but like the soft skills development, I think is something that's really like underrated. I think communication and confidence, to be able to, I think, go into a process of something that I wasn't familiar with, and then to be able to compete in something that I wasn't familiar with takes quite a lot of confidence. And also to be able to compete in front of 250,000 people in football they had in Lyon over the 4 days, and be able to do public speaking. And it almost sounds a little bit cliche, but it does change you as a person. And that is what I always say to people. I'm a completely different person to who I was 3 years ago when I started the process. And I think a lot of people would agree with that as well. So yeah, I think it isn't just the technical side, it is everything else on top of it.
And employability skills, and guess, and all that goes with it. That's amazing. And Paul, like Rosie got to the top. She got to that one person who took part. What do you think the benefits are of entering Skills Competition Wales, which is over 1 day, or WorldSkills UK, just to be a part of that process? What benefits do you think that brings to people?
I think just touching on what Rosie said, the first experience she had, she wasn't successful. And I think that meant the toughness, that resilience to come back and want to better yourself. People go through life sometimes, they don't stretch and challenge themselves enough. And just picking up a couple of things, performance under pressure is one thing. Rosie's experienced that with 250,000 people walking around looking at her. Not just that, when you compete in the national final, when you're actually competing against somebody else for a seat in that plane. But it's no different to taking part in Skills Competition Wales, where there might be 15 carpenters in a room competing to be the best. But then what we say is, that is one heat. In Wales, we tend to have 3 heats. So actually, there's 45 carpenters competing to be the best. So you might be the best in that room, but how would you compare to the heat that's going to be held in North, the heat that's going to be held in West? So I think the mental toughness, resilience comes from competing. Striving for excellence, not just competency, is something that a young person can do. Time management, and go back to the beginning, Rosie, I think it's dealing with a setback of not being successful, having the thing to come back, reset, like where do I need to improve? And that's what employers are looking for. They're looking for young people. And I will say, Rosie, I don't think you'd be in the position you are now unless you've gone on that journey. And everything we're talking about are skills that employers are looking for in young people. Increased productivity, effective team working, etc. It all comes from a competition environment. And it rubs off. It is contagious. It is a good virus to have. Once you've got the skill virus, you can't get rid of it.
I suppose if you're in a work environment anyway, if you're in an apprenticeship, so for example, if you're in an apprenticeship in health and social care, every day you're working to quality standards and deadlines and speaking to people. So a day in competition is just putting those skills that you do every day to the test. What do you think about that?
I think that definitely has an element of truth, but I think as well that with skills competitions, or in aircraft maintenance anyway, and I know it is similar in other skills, it covers so many areas of the industry. So like my skill had 5 modules in it. So in one, you're inspecting an aircraft for faults, the helicopter, and you had to identify them. Another one, you were dealing with aircraft electrics. Another one, you were dealing with metal structures, composite. And you would never find an aircraft engineer or an aircraft maintenance technician who was skilled in all 5. And I think that is what makes it so challenging in a way, because you have got to be that like jack of all trades and then be able to do it under pressure as well. So obviously, like in my apprenticeship, we'll say obviously it was manufacturing, but metal fabrication, like structures, was what I did mainly. And that was just one of 5. So I think that is where the challenge comes in, because you can obviously practice an element of it in your day-to-day, and obviously you're always wanting to strive for excellence. But when sort of 75% of your competition actually isn't your day-to-day job, and you're essentially learning a whole new skill set, not only to a basic level, but to the best in your country or to the best in the world, I think that is what a lot of people don't realize. And you try and say, like, you know, and I think that is what makes you so employable as well and attractive to employers, because they're saying, oh, you know, they've covered like all the areas of the industry. They're not just specializing in one. They've just competed at such a high level in multiple.
So, Rosie, you mentioned, you know, at the time you were employed as an apprentice. How did your employer feel then about you taking part in competitions?
So Airbus always enter apprentices into both in Inspiring Skills competitions and WorldSkills UK. They see it, you know, as a massive benefit for them and obviously for the apprentice.
And Paul, what do you think for employers? What are the benefits that participating in skills competitions can bring?
Well, first thing I'll say, Rachel, is we mentioned Airbus there, and I don't want people to think it's only for the larger employers, because we have got like Amazon, Airbus, JCB, Magellan. We got all larger SMEs that do see a value in entering their apprentices into the program. But we've also got small SMEs. A young girl at the moment is squad and back on the back to basic side who's working for a sole trader. So you don't have to be a large employer to engage in these competitions. Hopefully, smaller SMEs have also got a big part to play here. And sometimes the smaller SMEs have got an advantage because they're closer to the young people that are going to be competing and representing them. From an employer perspective, I would say higher skills lead to higher productivity. Employer profile as well, where if you are tendering for work, etc., if you have got young people employed with you that'll be recognised as being the best in Wales, best in the UK, best in Europe, competing on the world stage, that's not bad for the company profile where you are tendering for work. And it's also good to promote your apprenticeship frameworks for the larger employers that are taking on a large amount of apprentices every year. What better way of promoting your apprenticeship frameworks, apprenticeships that you're delivering as an organisation by allowing your apprentices to go on the PR that you get from it as a company is immense, but the skilled young individuals you're getting back, they might be young in age, but the amount of experience they've got is phenomenal. And Rosie quickly mentioned there, she had 18 months of training. That's intense training. Comes at a massive cost to the WorldSkills. We also invest from the Inspiring Skills project as well. Rosie mentioned there she was competing against another 2 competitors. We wanted Rosie in that plane. So Rosie identified a weakness in herself, that the other competitors were better. We would then go away and find that training to hopefully get as many Welsh competitors as we can on that plane in Lyon. We successfully did it, Rosie, didn't we? We're quite proud of what we achieved.
What would you say, Paul? Because I know in apprenticeships, assessors working with employers, they might say, well, employers won't release them for competition. I know skills competition is like a day out of work, isn't it? And WorldSkills UK is about 4 days out of work. What would you say to assessors or employers to encourage them to take part?
What I would say is that try and convince the employer that the added value or the softer skills those individuals are going to come back with. You can't put that day, the cost of a day compared to what that learner is going to get, win, lose, or just take part. You can't replicate that in any other shape or form. And it's also good for morale in your place of work as well. That somebody is being chosen to go and get behind those young people. If you're fortunate enough to have an apprentice and a work-based learning assessors come and say, look, we'd really like to put this learner forward, they must have seen some talent there. But don't be disappointed if you don't get success the first time. As Rosie's experience is taking part, you'll have a different apprentice coming back or young person coming back after being through the experience of just purely a one-day competition. There is an element prior to that competition where we encourage pre-training. I am competitive. There's nobody in Wales that's not super competitive, right? We're all humans. And we do encourage from a Welsh perspective, if the national finalists, we invest from a Welsh perspective and encourage at least 12 hours of training. You don't want to be there, be the bridesmaid. You want to give it your best shot. If you give it your best shot, you can live with failure. If you don't give it your best shot, it's a hard failure to deal with. So we prepare, we're arming our competitors to go. This year at the national final, we had about 110 competitors from Wales competed in the UK. 25% of the national finalists were from Wales. Over 70 of them came back with medals. So the conversion rate is there and the preparation. And that comes down to phenomenal employers, phenomenal work-based learning assessors, and phenomenal tutors behind them. So hats off to what Wales is achieving. But I will say, I'm quite proud to say, we had to go to Manchester this year to the national final, and the year before we've been to Manchester. The national finals coming to Wales in November 2025. So what I will say is a call to arms now. 80 medals, why can't we make it 80 medals or 90 medals when it comes to Wales? There's nothing better than winning on home soil. And I'm sure Rosie will be looking to come back in again in some other competition. I'm sure. And I'll say, so that's why we're trying to promote even more now. It's a fantastic opportunity, and hopefully now more will take up the challenge. And let's see if we can celebrate in Wales in November 2025.
Fantastic. And Rosie, there was a question from Paul Ed. Will you support your own learners now that you're a tutor at Coleg Cambria? Do you think you'd support it?
Yeah, absolutely. I already am, I suppose. I think it's because I'm teaching on the Airbus side anyway. So obviously Airbus are always wanting to enter apprentices. But I think it's having gone through it myself allows me to shout about the benefits of it and, say it firsthand, like what's actually part of it. Because you say it to them and they don't know what it is. And I think that's half the problem. Especially from an employer perspective as well. I think it is lack of understanding sometimes that is linked to potentially the lack of support. And if people realised what was actually involved and what benefits come with it, then they would understand how major it is and how it is essentially the Skills Olympics. But people hear WorldSkills UK or Inspiring competitions and they're like, what's that? Which is, we were saying the goal is to be able to say WorldSkills UK and people would know it exactly as if you were to say the Olympics, because that is the scale that it is on. So I was literally showing some of my students some photos from Lyon the other day and they were like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know that was the scale, that's so cool. And you're like, yeah, it is cool. So yeah, I will be very much.
I was lucky enough to go to the WorldSkills last year in Gdansk, and I knew a little bit about skills competition, but I was blown away because it really, it's a cliche, but it really is like Olympics. They put a lot of time and money into it, and it was held in a stadium, the opening ceremony, the closing ceremony. But the young people there, they were excellent, all of them. The fact that they got there, that was an achievement in itself. And I think you're right. When you mention it to people, they've got no clue what it is. So it's about the words. And yeah, I've seen it's a great thing to be involved in. So if some of our listeners did want to get involved and if they were interested, how can they find out more?
I would say Skills Competition Wales, the timeline for that, registration's open in November. Competitions take place then last week in January, first 2 weeks of February. So if anyone would like to attend any of those, if they look on our website, there's a full calendar of events where they're being held. This year we will be holding 58 skills competitions across Wales. So chances are there's a competition close to you. We've done it slightly different this year where we've clustered the competitions to make them more spectator friendly. So you might want to visit a venue. I'll give you an example. Merthyr College will have from hairdressing, creative media makeup, we'll have construction, some engineering competitions, some IT competitions. So it's got some 14 competitions being held at one venue. Similar in GLM, our largest one in North Wales, is over 20 competitions being held on a single day across 3 different locations in the north. So we're trying to make them more spectator friendly. There's an opportunity there for young people that are thinking of taking up an apprenticeship to come in as well, hopefully, and walk around and see that skill entails. So that's the Skills Competition Wales timeline. We've then got February, March, the national registration portals open. Skill Build will be opening their portal beginning of February, and then WorldSkills UK registration portal will open in March. Timely, we do our awards. We recognise our gold, silver and bronze on the 13th of March. So hopefully they will then go into the UK cycle. There's no direct link. You haven't got to take part in the Welsh competition. So please don't think now, oh, we've missed, now we can't do this year. You can immediately go register at the UK level. The only thing you've missed out on is the opportunity to hone your skills. All those briefs, all those tasks are available online and have been since September. In Wales, we try to do it without the brown envelope. People think, what do you mean a brown envelope? When I sort of register my own learners, it's been a brown envelope coming in with the drawings, the tasks, and nobody knew. You always question who knows and who's got inside information. There's none of that in Wales. We publicise the tasks in September to enable tutors and assessors be confident that their learners have got the required skill set to take part in our competitions. At a UK level, it's slightly different. It is a task that's set, but normally there's a passive stage at the UK level where you've got to do you've got about a couple of days to do a pre-competition and you send it away for central marking. So I would encourage everybody to get involved. Although our registration is gone, there's an invite to everybody to join. Have a look on our website. There's a calendar of events there. You're welcome to turn up, and hopefully one of our team will be there to take you a walk around. If there's any employers that want to come as well to see what it's about, they're welcome to do that. And hopefully you'll see you celebrating with us then when it comes to the UK national finals in November 2025 in Wales. So that's the stepping stones really through there. But I would encourage anybody to do in-house competitions as well. Try and embed competition activity into your activities where possible. Even in a place of work, a little competition between individuals is not a bad thing to have. Surprising, and a lot of people thrive on that element of competition, but pushing as well.
That's great. And I think something that you said there, all the tutors, all the assessors are in one place at one time. So it's a great opportunity for networking as well, isn't it, for us tutors to meet one another and potentially have their own CPD while they're at their competition as well. That's great. So just to finish then, for any listeners on our Panda Education YouTube channel, which you just search up Panda Education and Training on YouTube, we do have an information video called Skills Competitions, Why They're Good for Business. And it's just a summary, really, an overview of what skills competitions are, how people can get involved. So if you do want any more information on that, have a look on there. You can have a look on the Inspiring Skills Excellence website or the WorldSkills UK website for getting any more information, or contact Paul at the Inspiring Skills project based in Coleg Sirgar.
Fantastic. And if you check out our YouTube channel whilst you're checking out that skills competition video, we'll put all the links below this video for this podcast today as well. So that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much, Paul, for inspiring us to enter our learners into skills competitions. And Rosie, thank you for sharing your amazing journey through skills competitions. It's brilliant. It's such a good example. In our next podcast, we will be talking to Charlotte Dando, who's Head of Learner Journey and Inclusive Learning at Cardiff and Vale College, and Nicola Ankin, Disability Consultant and Director of In Exclusion, all about inclusion in work-based learning and apprenticeships. So we hope you can join us. Feel free to click subscribe to follow us and check out our socials as well. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you very
everyone.
much. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.